Good morning, good afternoon, depending upon where you're located, good evening even. Today, you are attending a webinar. This is our third in the series, the Modern Workplace 3, Effectively Managing Collaboration Spaces. Just some housekeeping information before we get started. The webinar, as I said, will be recorded. You will have access to this recording after today's session. So for those people that you know who wanted to attend, who weren't able to, who registered, they will get a link for that. There is a Q&A widget on the bottom of your screen for you to ask questions. We will make sure we save time in the presentation to answer your questions as we go along for that. Also, as I said, this is a third webinar in this series of the Modern Workplace. Within here, there's also related content for you. We did add into that the links to the prior webinars, which were around the ability of what occupancy can do, as well as some of the ways that we are taking all of this data and operationalizing it and solving problems. You're going to see some of that today, but really focused around collaboration spaces on today. So if you, I encourage you to save those links, look at those, and be able to see those other webinars as well. Okay, my name is Ross Leibowitz. I am the Senior Director for Workplace Products here at Tango, and I am joined today by Jennifer Anderson, who is the Reserve Product Manager, also here at Tango. I'm going to give you an overview of Tango Workplace before we go into the presentation details around the collaboration spaces. I'll turn it over to Jennifer to really get into all of the details around collaboration spaces, all within our Reserve module. Since the management of collaboration spaces sits within the larger Tango Workplace solution, I wanted to give you an overview of Tango Workplace before we start diving into things around the collaboration spaces, because you'll see throughout the presentation that within Tango, one thing makes another thing better. We really have strived for the ability to connect information, connect processes to give you even a better outcome than them running individually. So I'm going to play this little video for you so that you can go in and get a sense of what Tango Workplace is.
Workplaces have changed forever, but managing them, that's still stuck in the past. Too many companies juggle disconnected systems, outdated data, and good old-fashioned guesswork. The consequences? Spaces that sit empty, draining your budget with unnecessary overhead costs, real estate investments wasted on unused desks, and productivity lost as employees struggle with inefficient spaces and hybrid confusion. But what if your workplace worked smarter, not harder? Tango Workplace provides a unified management suite with native occupancy intelligence to streamline your processes. It's the smarter way to manage your spaces, backed by real-time data, automation, and AI-powered insights. Tango Workplace gives you real-time insights into how your spaces are being used, the tools to optimize them, and a plan for the future, helping you reduce wasted space, right-size resources like conference rooms, and support employees with seamless booking and navigation. With Tango Workplace, you don't just get insights, you get the power to act. Optimize your workspace based on real demand, not assumptions. Reduce costs by aligning space supply with actual usage. Create a better hybrid experience, giving employees the flexibility they need. And finally, automate reporting, freeing your team from manual work. Ready to transform the way you manage your workplace? See Tango Workplace in action today.
Okay, so let's recap. So Tango Workplace sits inside the overall Tango platform and works seamlessly with all the other Tango solutions. Tango Real Estate, which covers all the financial obligations around the building, all the receivables, payables, leasing, that you have all the way lease accounting, transactions, all of that sits within our real estate solutions. With Tango Project and Maintenance, which covers how we operate on the buildings, everything from your predictive maintenance, your planned maintenance, any of the projects. Again, all of that interacts with our workplace. And then our energy and sustainability, which covers how efficient the buildings are performing. And so within Tango Workplace, we really have 4 different fully connected modules which enhance how we analyze, manage, and optimize our workplaces. For collaboration spaces, occupancy tells us which rooms are actually being used and which are being ghosted, as well as really how many people are in the room. Jennifer's going to go into a lot of details and show you how we use that data. Space allows us to have our inventory of conference rooms, configure the collaboration spaces, also be able to locate them on floor plans and navigate to them. And then as Jennifer gets into the presentation, she's going to dive into how Reserve lets people reserve the collaboration spaces and configure very robust policies on how and when they can be reserved. And then finally, Visitor lets us invite and register visitors that are coming into a meeting in the collaboration spaces that we just reserved. And so you'll see all of this fits into what we're talking about in Workplace. But at Tango, we just don't stop at understanding how your workplace is functioning. We give you the tools to take action through artificial intelligence, predictive analytics, through automation, and through processes to improve, to optimize your workplace. For collaboration spaces, knowing the utilization of each of the rooms is just the beginning. Jennifer is going to cover what we can do with this information that will help you understand, transform, and optimize the use of your collaboration spaces. Jennifer, take it away.
Thanks, Ross. So today we're delving into collaboration spaces in Reserve, Tango's platform for booking reservable resources. If you're using Tango Workplace, you will already have answers to a lot of these questions. Conference rooms are just one type of collaboration space, but probably the easiest to envision. If the thought of collaboration spaces causes you stress, the good news is that Tango has workplace solutions to help. In these few minutes we have together, let's reconsider our perspective on collaboration spaces and hopefully have a few laughs along the way. We have a 1-question survey to kick things off. Don't worry, I won't send your answer to your manager. Pick the answer that you relate to the most. All right, we've got almost half responses. I'll give you another few seconds to think about it. I promise I'm not going to talk to your manager. All right, I understand if you're shy. It's okay. So maybe you don't attend very many meetings in conference rooms, but you huddle with your team in an empty cubicle or the break room just to get quick input on a project. We all know that at a basic level, a collaboration space is somewhere people can gather. Ideally, it's an environment where teamwork can flourish, but at a higher cost per square foot than workspaces. So as a company, our solutions should facilitate the management and efficient usage of these resources. So Many factors contribute to the complexity and difficulty of managing collaboration spaces. Technology could include a Microsoft Teams room, which might be unfamiliar to some. Put yourself in our customers' shoes as we take a look at the challenges they face and the solutions that Tango Workplace offers. Let's say you're a community manager in your organization and you're responsible for assisting coworkers with reservations. Don't you hate it when coworkers come to you saying they can't find an available room? And the thing is, you know there should be space. So you check, is everything really booked at the desired time? On the surface, it could appear that everything is reserved. The reality is that conference room 100 is reserved, but no one is attending the meeting in person. Or there may be 3 huddle rooms available, each having capacity of 4 to 5 people, but you need to accommodate 10 people in a single space. Plus, Bob is camped out in huddle room 101 because he forgot to make a desk reservation. Or your coworker isn't satisfied with the room that is available because of its location or lack of amenities. The answer is to understand and address these issues so that the space can be used more effectively. Joe makes and manages his meetings in a calendar application. A calendar alone is inadequate. Joe can't take advantage of information and capabilities within Reserve, such as asset images and floor plans, room configurations, dynamic relationships, requestable rooms, attributes, and policies. If you're not using these features, then you're not getting everything you can out of the system. You have all these problems and are trying to use a calendaring solution to manage all of this. It is the wrong tool. Outlook was not created to do this. Tango's Reserve applications have the tools to help you manage conference rooms and much more. Let's take a look at some scenarios. Scenario 1. High-profile clients will be meeting on site. You need to find and reserve a fancy conference room close to the elevator that's available 2 weeks from today. Our solution? When searching for available collaboration spaces, view floor plans and asset images in Reserve to find exactly what you're looking for. You'll also need catering, which is easy to add in Reserve, but you can't do that in Outlook. Reserved spaces are easily identified as red hotspots on Reserve's floor plan view. Green hotspots are available spaces. Scenario 2. Company X has rooms that are set up in a U-shape by default, and they run out of these rooms more often than they run out of the others. They're the red ones in this floor plan view. Through our analytics, we can see that U-shaped conference rooms are used the most. Improve efficiency by either making more U-shaped rooms or by making the rooms more flexible, as shown on the next slide. Our solution? Room configurations. Choices and flexibility within Tango Workplace enable you to make the most of your space. Our conference rooms need to be set up differently depending on the nature of the meeting. When asking yourself, should I make this room more flexible? You can measure this based on analytics. Room configurations are completely customizable in Reserve. You can't do that in Outlook. Scenario 3. You need this large meeting area for company meetings with the full department only once a quarter. The rest of the time, this large space rarely gets used effectively because most meetings are attended by just 8 to 12 people. Our solution? Add partitions and use dynamic rooms. Here, a partition has been added to divide the large room into 2 rooms that can be reserved independently. The partition can be removed to enable use of the large room, known as A plus B, which makes the separate A and B rooms unavailable. And if you book either A or B, then A plus B becomes unavailable. Normally, you would have to request this kind of reservation from an admin and wait for them to configure. But Reserve's dynamic rooms enable that with less hassle. You can't do that in Outlook. Consider, how are you handling this today? And of course, you can combine room configurations with dynamic rooms to meet your organization's needs. Reservations can also be made and checked into from digital signage mounted outside the room. We have iOS and Windows-based kiosks that can support up to 4 rooms. If kiosks or panels are not an option for your collaboration spaces, you can display a QR code. Are you starting to see how Tango Workplace expedites collaboration space management? If you're distracted, please come back because you don't want to miss this next slide. Scenario 4. Conference room 100 is the most desirable meeting room and needs to be saved for executive and VIP meetings. Reserve has multiple business rules that can be leveraged to enforce restrictions on certain spaces or user groups. Let's review a popular feature in Reserve for high-value space needing watchful management. Our solution: make the room requestable for general users and reservable for executive assistants, which is a smaller group. Requests must be approved before they can become reservations. Also, individuals who've opted to receive notifications for that room will get an email when a request is created and when a reservation is created. Scenario 5. Anne needs to find a space to host a meeting with 5 remote attendees and 10 on-site employees. Imagine your own requirements for meetings. Do you want a room with windows, a projector, and maybe a printer? Our solution: in Reserve, perform a search and use the filter to narrow down the results to the conference rooms with a capacity of 10 or more and the Microsoft Teams room amenity to accommodate the remote attendees. There are many other filters you can use to find exactly what you need. The wide range of search capabilities and customization across Tango Workplace applications gives your organization the control and options to work smarter. That covers the most important features in Reserve that aren't available in Outlook. We're going to circle back to this at the end. For now, let's dive a little deeper into working with and managing collaboration spaces in Reserve. Features in Reserve applications can help you manage your collaboration spaces more effectively in less time. Some are relatively new, while others have been around for years. Detailed documentation is available in Zendesk, and I'll also be happy to answer questions at the end. When looking for a collaboration space, use Search by Calendar to view availability for multiple rooms, one day at a time on a grid. This is especially helpful when you want to prioritize the room over the time, because this allows you to see when a specific room is available. Whereas the list view or the floor plan view is better used when the time is more important and the room less so. Use the filters shown in the second image to narrow down the results. The calendar view in the Exchange add-in works the same way. Use Month View to see each room's reservations on a month grid. It's available wherever you see this icon. From this view, you can book a reservation. Users with the right to manage other users' reservations can also manage from this page. Use Day View to see details for a reservation without having to open it. Here, each room has a column. Drag and drop reservations from one room to another. You can get to Day View via the Reservations tab in the Settings screen. Favorite assets make high-profile rooms easy to access. If you have users who manage specific rooms, this is a great way to easily access them. You can also make reservations for favorite assets easily in the Quick Pick view of the Exchange add-in inside of Outlook. We've added many enhancements to Quick Pick and have more on the way soon. Take a look if you aren't familiar with our add-in, because this is a tool that will add value for many of our customers. I'd like to highlight another feature that's available across multiple Reserve applications. Let's look at one scenario where it could prevent a lot of frustration. In this scenario, Group A thought they had reserved the room, but when they showed up, Group B was already using it and they said they had a reservation. A community manager must have moved Group A's reservation to another room without realizing that it was a VIP meeting. Sometimes meetings have to be moved, but there are certain meetings that need to be flagged so that they don't get moved. One solution is to create a reservation type for VIP meetings and make sure that people who book VIP meetings know to select it when they create the reservation. Reservation types are also helpful to quickly identify different kinds of meetings that need to be tracked in analytics. This is how you set the color coding that's visible in the month view and day view screens, as well as the reservation table shown here. You can specify any text or color for the reservation types needed by your organization. For example, I could create a type called client meetings if I'd prefer that instead of the VIP label. If metrics on usage are important to your organization, then you'll want to implement check-in for those rooms. Check-in forces users to be accountable, reducing unused reservations. You should make it easy for your users to check in by using presence detection, the mobile apps, digital signage outside of collaboration spaces, and QR codes on desks. You don't need additional hardware such as sensors installed everywhere. For organizations that are struggling with user adoption of check-in, you can have a ramp-up period of check-in, where you get your users accustomed to the idea of check-in by making a late auto bump time, so they don't lose the reservation if they forget to check in. You can also increase the grace period to 2 hours until users are accustomed to checking in. In the future, using Tango Workplace, we will implement passive check-in. Well, a webinar about reservations in Tango Workplace wouldn't be complete without events. An event contains more than one reservation happening simultaneously. It could be an all-hands meeting in multiple locations. This screenshot of our add-in shows an event containing reservations at 3 locations in different time zones. Some customers prefer this view so that they can see availability for multiple locations at once before deciding on a space. You can create an event in the web application or the Exchange add-in. The local time will be displayed in the calendar grid. This is way better than Outlook and provides the ability to view images, view attributes, view policies, add services, add equipment, and more. Considering those features and the scenarios we reviewed at the beginning, how does Outlook stack up against Reserve as a workplace solution? Which of these features would be most valuable to you or your customers? Which features should you learn more about? I could stop here, but wait, there's more. If you're a data nerd or you can't resist eye candy, you'll love our analytics, built completely in-house. Here's a dashboard that was created to monitor usage of rooms across 3 locations for a long period of time. You can choose from templates like this or build your own dashboard with the widgets you need. Let's take a closer look within the analytics application. Here's the dashboard I created for collaboration spaces. Many widgets, there we go. Many widgets allow you to drill down and hover for more detail. Here, I'm narrowing the desired time frame so I can see the usage of rooms for each day based on the reservations that were made versus those that were checked into. On the right, I see rooms grouped by their capacity. The rooms with capacity for 25 people are being used the most. So I might want to consider reconfiguring some of the smaller rooms. This is where I can get a solid answer to the question we asked earlier. Should I make this room more flexible? And of course, I can view this data as a spreadsheet. The utilization by asset widget gives me even more detail. I can click on the info icon to learn more about the widget. Plus, there are video tutorials and articles within the help section. Maybe I'd like to add another widget to the dashboard. You can see the wide range of widgets available. Admin settings determine which widgets are available to specific users in analytics. I can add widgets to identify which asset types and room configurations are being used the most. I could also add a widget to report on the various reservation types used for meetings. Once you've added the desired widgets, they're immediately shown in the dashboard when it reloads. Here we're in demo mode for this example, so the data is going to be different now as the dashboard reloads. Your data is reported in real time or updated hourly on some widgets. I'd like to call your attention to the options for exporting. You can go into the settings option for each widget to customize and filter. You can freely move the widgets around to suit your needs. Filters are available at the dashboard level as well as the widget level. Customization is key. For example, the customization in the usage activity widget allows you to choose from 25 different metrics, aggregate the data by 15 different categories, and see how the data changed over time, allowing hundreds of possible combinations. We're at the end of our presentation, so take one last look at a simple dashboard created for a specific location. Analytics dashboards can be emailed to the individuals you specify on a schedule. Permissions and security give you control over your data and the way it is presented. We're eager for you to explore all that we have to offer. What you've seen today is just a small percentage of what's available in our platform. Using Tango Workplace, it is easy to manage collaboration spaces and do so much more.
Thank you, Jennifer.
All right. Yeah, we've covered a lot. Let's start with the questions that have been submitted.
So if you have any questions, please drop them into the Q&A box that we have. There is one that we got, and how is the reservation data used within all of Tango Workplace? So I'll take that. So since Tango Workplace is fully connected, fully integrated together, we use the information to help understand really what is happening in your workplace, in your behavior. Reservation data is really nice to do some level of occupancy and occupancy planning, whether it be desks or whether it be conference rooms, but you're also relying on behavior of people actually booking them and people actually checking in to spaces. So what we believe in a layered approach, where we layer both our reservation data along with our occupancy data, and we can track occupancy through Wi-Fi and network data. We track occupancy through badge data. We track occupancy through sensors. Again, you can go back to some of the webinars that talk all about that. But if I focus on network data, whether it be LAN data or Wi-Fi data, combining that along with your reservations really gives us a good sense of what is happening within the workplace and gets you more detailed and more nuanced information to be able to make those decisions for that. Okay. Any other questions? One more. Um, the question was, you made some suggestions around being able to make recommendations and optimization systems. What type of optimizations can you make? So within Tango Workplace, by using our occupancy module, we're able to understand the number of desks or the number of conference rooms, the types of conference rooms, slicing and dicing it across many dimensions of what is needed. We also have within Tango Space a optimization engine. And what the optimization engine does is it takes a floor plan and really does a optimized blocking on it. We use some bin packing algorithms as I geek out a little, and we are able to reposition all of the departments, all the use in order to do that. Well, what we're doing is combining both our occupancy data along with our space optimization engine, and together we're able to increase and decrease the number of seats that are needed for each department. Think about some of the areas that we struggle with. How big should this neighborhood be for this department? Okay, great. Once I have that information, maybe I'm using sensors or some other, I'm using badge, I'm using other information. Then what I take that data disjointly, I have to now go into my space system and be able to go in and manually shrink or grow different neighborhoods. Within Tango Workplace, all of that is done for you. And so these neighborhoods can dynamically grow or shrink and give you suggestions for that. And what's really nice about that is those neighborhoods are flexible and they have reservations, and you're dealing with groups and who can book those. All of that data automatically flows over into the reservations. And so now, if I'm shrinking a department from 30 desks that are all reservable to maybe 20 desks that are reservable, I just press a button and the system will take care of it. It will go in, it will shrink your neighborhood, it will go in, and since those are no longer part of that department, part of that neighborhood, they are now no longer reservable by that group, and they can either be turned in, depends upon what our AI engine says. It'll either be turned into a free space for people, or can be turned into another neighborhood for another group that you're doing. And so you're seeing how these all interconnect. And we believe in that ability to not just stop at, oh, here's a problem. We're actually giving you the solutions, and we're giving it to you in a way that you have control over it to modify, to tweak it, but then it flows all the way through to your end users' experiences for that. And think about what we looked about on conference rooms. That ability to say how many conference rooms of what size, of what type do we need, and then going in and making recommendations of taking your large conference rooms and turning them into potentially A/B conference rooms that Jennifer showed earlier in her presentation. Okay. We have time for a couple more questions. One other one is, how is this sold? So within Tango, we sell, you can either buy a workplace solutions, all modules sell. And so you can buy the modules you need. They all fit together seamlessly. Or you can just buy workplace, and our account team can price an overall solution that's necessary for your needs. But again, it's not just within workplace. You're able to tie things to leases, to the ability to understand what is the impact before you renew a lease or take an option. Really having an understanding of what's being used, how it's being used, who's using it, and that'll give you better insights into, is it worth it to do that? Again, I encourage you to go back to some of the other webinars, and we'll be able to, you'll see a lot of this in a lot more detail from that. So this is so what we showed you today, Jennifer dove in, so the question that was asked, is this an additional item aside from Tango Space, Reserve, and Occupancy? this is the combination, what we're talking about. So Jennifer spent a lot of time in Tango Reserve, in the Reserve module. Workplace is really just the interactions. It's not something else you buy. Buying one module, you get Workplace, but it really works really well when you get the two modules together. So Tango Workplace is not an additional charge. We buy it, we sell it by the module. Tango Workplace is really how those all interconnect, and that is part of our overall platform that you get when you buy any one of our modules. Okay. Any more questions? Well, if you do come up with questions, please reach out to us. As I said, this webinar is being recorded, and you'll be able to play it back. You can then send it to your colleagues so they can understand what we're doing. And we're very open and love to have conversations with clients, with prospects, partners, and really dive into the way in which we envision the modern workplace working. Thank you very much, and everybody have a good day, good evening.